Hi folks, welcome back to the channel and thank you for joining me. You are most welcome. Today we're talking about Airfix's latest release. It's the 1/72nd scale de Haviland Mosquito Bomber Mark 16. Now we haven't had to wait too long for this one because it was announced only back in I think February, first released the news to the public. What can we say about the Mosquito? An absolutely fantastic aircraft, one of the best aircraft of World War II, right up there with the Mustang and the Spitfire and the Lancaster, I'd say. It's powered by two Rolls-Royce Merlin engines, and this is the twin stage, the later version, more powerful superchargers, etc., different exhaust setup, and very successfully used right to the end of the war. Now, of course, the Mosquito wasn't in the war at the beginning. I think it was debuted on its test flight, I think about 1940, late 40, early 41, and then it came in late 42, I think. And of course, it was very, very fast with these twin engines. But of course, the most important thing was it was a very unconventional design. Supremely aerodynamic with a very slender design. It's got a tail that looks like a Spitfire's wing, quite frankly. Beautiful looking aircraft, cuts through the air very well, but above all it's very, very light, made of birch, balsa and plywood. And this meant that of course when the factories were being bombed, they were able to outsource production of this aircraft to all sorts of different subcontractors that were furniture makers and companies that made pianos and things. So it gave a little bit of flexibility and meant that it wasn't dependent on the same level of war materials as other things, which meant it was a really helpful situation in terms of not draining resources that were perhaps needed elsewhere for the Spitfires, etc., and Lancasters. In terms of its operational role, of course, it is actually, I should just point this out, somebody corrected me recently, quite rightly so, in my TSR2 nuclear strike bomber video, where somebody said, oh, you said this was Britain's first truly multi-role strike aircraft. That's wrong, of course. I'd forgotten the Mosquito was the first multi-role aircraft that we ever had. So it was a fighter, it was a night fighter, it was a bomber, it was a pathfinder, low-level strike. It was used as aerial reconnaissance. It's hard to think of some things that it wasn't used for. Just about anything you can imagine. It was used for testing the Dam Buster's bouncing bomb, the high ball. Did a lot of testing down on the south coast. Remarkable machine and capable of so many different types of mission. Some famous missions including Operation Jericho, the Amiens prison raid in early 44. It also bombed the shell house that was being used by the Gestapo in Copenhagen, which I think was 43. It bombed the Gestapo headquarters at Aarhus, also in Denmark, and Oslo again, the Gestapo headquarters in Oslo. I mean, if you wanted a precision strike and you knew where the asset you needed to hit was, this was the aircraft. It would get in incredibly low, 415 miles an hour top speed, went like the wind. And Hermann Göring famously said that he thought it was one of the most beautiful aircraft in the world, and he was sad that Germany had nothing like it. So that says all you need to know. Anyway, enough of the Mosquito. I have got a couple of books. We'll have a quick look at these, just a quick shufty, because Mosquito books, I mean, there are probably thousands of them really, aren't there? One that's definitely recommended for models though, because it has so many different types of markings and units, is the Osprey Combat Series. We've all seen these for many, many different types of aircraft you can get. Martin Bowman's edition. Martin Bowman is an acknowledged expert on Mosquitoes. Really nice book. Lots and lots of photos about the development of the aircraft, some of their successes, the different weapons they used, how they developed the sort of bomb aiming, bomb sight technology. Obviously the bombs themselves. They were able to drop a cookie bomb, 4,000 pound cookie bomb, same as the Lancaster. I mean, that's a big bomb for a little plane like this. Fantastic, you know, it had so much power it was able to carry that. And then of course they were used as night fighters. They were used, as I mentioned, on the Amiens prison raid, low-level strike mission there, and they were used in I think the Australians used them as well, didn't they, in the Far East at one point. A remarkable history, and especially anti-shipping was the other role I forgot to mention. Of course, it was brilliant for knocking out ships, and they also fitted it with the big cannon to make it the Tetsi Mosquito. Some photos in here, I'm sure, above the waves. Here we go. fitted in with rockets. I mean, just such a flexible aircraft, you know. Just seeing if there's a picture of the one with the cannon. I'm sure there is. Maybe I've just not got to it yet. I've gone past it. I'm sure we have, because I think you'd like to see that. I think it was a 17-pounder gun they fitted, and it gave it a kick like a mule. But a brilliant book. So that's Martin Bowman's on the Osprey series, Mosquito Bomber and Fighter Units 42 to 45. Recommend that one to you very strongly. This is a bit an unusual one there, mainly in that it is quite old. It's actually from Bill Sweetman and Rikyu Watanabe, who was a guy that's a brilliant artist. And this was in the Jane's Aircraft series, I think, which goes back to the 70s. But it's such a nicely illustrated book, I couldn't not mention it. So here we go, Mosquito. It's old, it's quite smelly, it's got a very musty smell to it. It's got brilliant detail. It's a Jeffrey de Haviland designing the plane. Of course, was it the Rapide that they took some inspiration from? The Gypsy. Okay, the Gypsy was like the forerunner of it in many ways. And you can see how the development led up to the basic design of the Mosquito. Even one version was able to carry a torpedo. It's pretty incredible. And then got some really nice detailed illustrations. Yeah, here we go, 57mm anti-tank gun. What did I tell you? Look at that. If one of those shells hits you, you're in real trouble. Yeah, and it carried 4 machine guns as well. So you've got 4 Brownings and a 57mm. Is it a 12-pounder or a 17-pounder? I was getting mixed up. Anyway, look at this. It folds out. It's a lovely way that they've done this, actually. It all folds out like that. It's absolutely incredible, isn't it? That's the Mark IV that are depicted in that picture. But on the other side, it shows the other side of the same sheet. You've got the Night Fighter version, which is really nicely done. Beautiful, actually. It's a work of art, this book, actually. Not trouble with the pages there. Careful. There we go. Shows them arming them. All the setup of how the cannons work. Elevator and elevon control. Aileron control, should I say. Various illustrations that talk about the Hornet, which was kind of a development of the Mosquito, but not as successful, it has to be said. And then just some schematics. There's a lot of. It's really like a diagrammatical book. This is rather than a textbook. It does show you cutaway views, exploded view showing all the components of the aircraft. Again, we've got. I think we've got one of these pages. Quite an unusual setup. Here we go. It's like a diagrammatical engineering book almost. So look at that. That's pretty, isn't it? The way they've done it. Really nice. This is this Japanese guy, Watanabe. Beautiful illustrations. And that's the Mark 16 right here. And that's got the one that's got the radar in the nose, I think it is. And the one at the top's more like the. Yeah, that's this one. Sorry, that's the Mark. Yeah, that's the Mark 19. This is the Mark 16 here. This one. And it's got a extended mulging underside for the cookie. And then we've got, again, another beautiful, like artist illustrated cutaway version showing you. Zoom in a little bit for this. A little bit closer, I think it really justifies it. Look at that. Lovely, aren't they? And here's another Mark 16, like the one we're going to review in a second. So nicely done, isn't it? They're quoting 408 miles per hour, it says 415 when I was just looking at it. And again, shows the weather positions of the fuel tanks. And you can see the, I think that's the later twin stage engines in that one. And on the other side, and then you've got the Mark 6 as well, it's anti-shipping mode there, as you can see. Beautiful book, this. Very. If you can get your hands on one of these. I picked this up at, I think it was a model fair actually, second hand. And I just saw it, I thought, you know what, I think it was about £5 and I thought, I think I'll just have that. All these cutaway views. And it's not a very wordy book at all, it just talks about, you know, the basics about the operations and how they were, used, some of the famous raids it went on. Instrumentation. This is very useful for models. You get to see all the instrumentation. NF2 and then a Mark 9. See the differences. Yeah, so one's got a stick and one's got a yoke. It's quite interesting, isn't it? Stick here, yoke here. And there's a completely detailed breakdown of all the instrumentation and controls. And then we've got HS2 bombing radar installations trials. That's very interesting. Wow. And the bulging bay door here, which can accommodate the Cookie 4,000-pound bomb. So just the fact it can carry such an enormous bomb is a massive asset in such a small plane. So you can carry whole squadrons with the Cookies. I mean, that's sort of serious. So what's that? That's like 12 times 4,000 pounds. That's a lot of firepower. You're going to do a lot of damage. It's no wonder when you see these pictures of places like the Gestapo headquarters in Oslo blown to bits, quite frankly. I mean, if you see these coming, it's best just to get in a shelter, because you're not going to survive otherwise, I think. Look at this. It shows the exact, again, very useful for modellers, it shows the schematic diagram of the whole of the gun system with the chutes, feed chutes, and underneath where all the shells go, empty shells. And then here we've got the 57mm anti-shipping gun I spoke of for the Tetsi Mosquito, and it shows underneath how the cannons are positioned here. And this is very useful stuff from a modeller's point of view. You can see in proper 3D cutaway detail what it's all about. And we've got some nice images here of it actually in action against various shipping on the Norwegian coast. Rockets and missiles and cannon fire all going in there. Look at this. I talked about the way it was built and the fact it could take a lot of punishment. Well, here's the proof. Look at this. Just look at the state of that. I mean, I wonder if that, you know, there's no way it'd be burned. It probably wouldn't have got back to base. It managed to return to base, it says, despite being heavily burned. There's no way that was, you know, a more conventional aircraft. It probably wouldn't have made it. First of all, the cannon fire would have probably shattered some of the controls. And then I talked about the highball bouncing bombs testing for Barnes Wallis and the Dam Busters, and here it is, with a load of stop action photography showing the bouncing bomb going in. Bit of detail about the undercarriage and showing how the suspension works. It's quite interesting. Actually, I've got a dead spider here in the pages of the book, a real mosquito or something similar. I think it's a spider. Just get rid of that. Okay. And then it showed him actually compressing the leg, the suspension for the main leg, for the gear. That's amazing. There we have it. So it's a little bit unusual, but I have to say that the illustrations make that book very, very worthwhile indeed. A unique book. It's almost like it's in the style of a child's picture book, and yet it's nothing childish about it. It's very highly detailed engineering diagram. A work of art. So that's Mosquito. Text by Bill Sweetman and illustrations by Rikyu Watanabe, and it is published by Jane's Aircraft. Or it was. It may be out of print. You should definitely try and get yourself a copy of that. Yeah. If I find out any more info, I might include a link underneath the video for you. Anyway, swiftly moving on. Let's have a look at this kit then. Bring you in a bit. What have we got? So, on the side we have got a little bit of detail. What does it say here? And here we go. It says, without question, the Mosquito qualifies as one of the finest fighting aeroplanes of the Second World War, which could claim to be the envy of every other air force, particularly the Luftwaffe, who try but never really managed to produce an equivalent aeroplane. A true multi-role aircraft, Mosquito's famous nickname, the Wooden Wonder, referenced the fact that the successful British aircraft was constructed using non-strategic materials and employed a clever system of balsa and birch plywood lamination to give the aircraft its great strength. We've got two options included in the kit. We've got Mosquito 16 for 517 Squadron. These guys are the Pathfinders, based at Oakington. Now these are the guys that used to go in ahead of the Lancasters, bomb the target with absolute precision at low level and light it up with phosphorescent bombs, so the Lancasters knew exactly where to plant their own bombs at night and aim without problems. And we've also got the Mosquito 16, which is looks like it's a, I'm going to say night fighter, but it's a night bomber basically at RAF Whitton, also in Cambridgeshire. There we go. Product code for this one, the new kit from Airfix, is AO4023. Without further ado, we'll have a look and get cracking on reviewing the kit. Now then, we've got some of this very thick Airfix tape, which they always use, which is not a bad thing. And here, it promises cartograph decals on the side. It also, finally, one other comment, it's got the dates. It says that it is was going to say it says where it's made, but it doesn't seem to tell us. I'm pretty confident it's made in India. 2020 tooling and design 2021, and made in India, but they put it on the crease very easy. Anyway, here we go. What have we got? Well, we've got a single bag, which is really annoying because I thought they stopped doing that after we saw the Vulcan, which they did a great job on. And we've got some instructions. We've got some decals, not many decals at all actually. I remember it's only a 72nd scale kit, and I'm sure it's going to be a bit of an uplift from the old one, which was getting pretty long in the tooth from the 70s. What have we got here? The decals look very small to me, but typical excellent cartograph, very very nicely printed. They're not too glossy, they're kind of a satiny finish really. Plenty of stencils, keep off. Be wary with this one of course, because if you don't get your finish really nice and smooth and glossy, you'll end up with silvering underneath here, so it might be an option to either put lots of gloss coat down before you put the decals on, or more controversially and tricky is to cut out that area of carrier film in between the red crosses, but that's going to be a challenge, so be warned. But they look very nice, no problem there. So we'll start with the old instructions, see what we can make of them. Whoops, gone in too close. Bit of blurb on the front, well, we've already done the blurb, we know how fast it goes, let's have a look. Straight into it with Airfix, no messing about. So, stage one starts with the cockpit floor basically. Well, it's actually like a central member with spar, isn't it? This is going to be the cockpit floor area, I think, here. And then you build it out with the main floor coming out at the front. So you've got your radio going on here, and various other equipment that goes behind the pilot and co-pilot. Then you build up the actual seat, and you've got your pilot's chair going in, and the instrumentation, because they have this sort of staggered height, staggered front and rear sort of system, of course, in the Mosquito, to give the pilot maximum visibility. This all goes in and is put at the very front. Seems all very straightforward so far. Then you've got your fuel tanks going in. Whoops, fuel tanks going in underneath on your spar system. So this is the underside now we're looking at, because it's upside down. Then it's flipped back the other way up, just to confuse you. And we've got the main fuselage here with like a little bulkhead at the back. Telling you to paint them inside these areas that might be seen. And then they do this thing where they put things in red. And the things they're putting in red are the last things you did. I have no idea why Airfix keep doing this. I find it highly confusing. I don't understand the point of it. Yet we've done what we've done. We don't need it to be in red to tell us that's what you've just done. That's just confusing. The red is not necessary. Please stop it. Don't know where they've got this cracker's idea from. Just silly. I think it's highly confusing. And some people think it means it's not seen. Some people think it means you mustn't glue it. You don't need that. It's completely unnecessary. Just drop it, please. There we go. Rant over. Moving on. Then we've got a little window underneath that goes in under the floor. You've now obviously put your two cockpit sides, sorry, fuselage sides together, and then you've got another little hatch at the back here. This is actually the hatch. It's a flip out. What it does, it creates drag ahead of the bomb, and the idea is it's to stop the bomb flipping as it drops out. It means that the drag goes over, it alters the drag profile, and it stops the bomb flipping and catching the aircraft as it drops out. Not a lot of people know that, so that's part C2. C1, got another little hatch on the top. Then you've got your rudder going on, and you've got separate tail planes. I guess you can't actually pose any of this, unfortunately, but anyway, it looks quite nice. Yeah, doing it again, showing it in red. Why? Pointless. And then we've got the undercarriage now. And the Mosquito, it's quite a complicated looking undercarriage, of course. It's very strong. It needs to be because it's supported the weight of a Merlin engine above it. So what they're telling you to do here, it seems, is they're saying use part B6 as a jig, do not glue. What I think they're telling you is to align everything, but they don't want you to glue it. What they actually mean, let's see, this is again, I want to be critical of Airfix because their instructions have been quite good lately. but they should say what they mean. Do not glue. Why? Just explain that. It should say do not glue at this stage, because I think you're going to glue it later into that very spot. But you've got other things to do, and that's all we need to do is explain it and say don't glue it at this time until step 40 or whatever it is. That I think is what they mean. But anyway, so you're building up the two sides of your legs. Again, do not glue, use it as a jig. Yeah, I think a lot of people that are new to the hobby or returning can find that quite confusing. If they just put until step blah blah blah, that would make it completely clear. Anyway, you've then got your mud guards going in, and then you've got your the hydraulic fluid on the back. I think it's the hydraulics for the brakes that go on the back. Just caught me out that, and my memory isn't as good as it used to be. I think it's the brake fluid canister. And then we've got the two wheel sides going together, and they do look very nice. Let's see what the plastic's like. It looks okay from the instructions. There's a couple of holes to drill depending on what the stores are that you're going to put in. Then we have got the top and bottom of the wing coming together, and it looks like we have a clear wing tip. They're doing this thing Airfix to try and help you with the appearance of the actual glass. Instead of having a little glass clear plastic piece as the light, they have an entire wingtip, and then what you do is just mask off and spray the whole thing. I think it's a bit of overkill at this scale, if I'm honest, but I'm not going to be too critical. It's not a bad idea, as long as you can make sure you've got some primer or something down. And the danger is you might end up with a different finish on the two because it's a different type of plastic, isn't it? Then you've got your twin stage exhausts going in here, and they've got what looks like this is good. They've got some nice clear explanation of which is up and which is forward, so that's to help you so you put it in the right way around. Same on the other side. There's a lot of steps that I just repeated. Then we've got the bulkheads at the front and rear of the actual gear bay well, and then you're building up the back of where your prop's going to be attached to, acting like a polycap if you like. And then you've got a little chin piece with the intake for your Merlins, and this is the twin stage. You've got twin intakes. There's a little intake there, and there's a second intake here. I think it's to do with the way that the supercharger takes the air in. When building this model with the undercarriage up, it says, cut where highlighted in green this step before assembly and miss out step 49. So they're just telling you to remove the lugs if you're going to have it in flight, simple enough. And then step 49, this is quite interesting, something new, isn't it? What have we got here? Mask. Okay, so it says use F-35 as a mask to protect the inside of the nacelle when painting the outside of the entire aircraft. What a good idea. I like that one. That's a step forward, especially at this scale. Brilliant. And you've got your radiators going in and your grills, and then you've basically got your wing going on being attached there. Oops, back a bit. Too close. Right, then we've got the actual, now you are going to put your undercarriage in, and you're going to slip it through, and because you've already glued it all up and used it as a jig, it should go straight in, no problem. So that's, yes, that's quite logical. They just didn't explain it very well. I think they need to be careful, Airfix, that they are, there's two things going on. They're under-communicating a little bit, and they are over-complicating with putting things in red. Stop this red thing, and just communicate with a little bit more clarity, and we'll be fine. Then you've got your doors going on once your legs and your undercarriage is all in, your gear's complete. Then you've got your spinners and your props going on. Only apply glue to the very face, it says here, the highlighted area. Again, that's good advice. So that means it'll just sit on, and you don't want it gluing so it is then immobilised by accident. Then we've got, you're just repeating basically everything we've just seen is about to be repeated, so I'm going to gloss over this. You're just doing all the same with the other wing. Now it's on the port wing, sorry, starboard wing, and you're just going to repeat all that process we've just been through. Yeah, it's kind of unnecessary the way they repeat this. I think that we all get it, but it's good to be clear. You know, as I just said, they under-communicated, so I can't criticise them, can I? So you can see everything we just talked about, all being done all over again. So we'll gloss over that, and then it goes in. Blah 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 blah. So we've now got both the wings on, and then it gets to the interesting stuff. Now here we've got the optional doors. So if you're building the bomb bay open, and if you're building the bomb bay doors closed, you've got a different system to do it. And you've got the right. If you're building it closed, it just goes closed. building it open, you've got all these racks going in, attachment points, hydraulic operating arms that open and shut the bomb bay door. It's nice, isn't it? I think they've done this. It looks good. Looks good. I think it's going to look great. Then you've got the actual bomb holders themselves, the rack itself, and then the bombs going in here. Stage 98. 98 stages we're up to, and it's only a little 70-second scale Mosquito. Wow, awesome. Then you've got the bomb bay doors going on either side, complete with the fixing onto those actuators, and then you've got the option of drop tanks. And finally, you put the pilot in right at the end. This is not like an Airfix, they're usually in right at the beginning, aren't they? And then you've got this optional different types of window, because we've got side windows having to be fixed on separately. That's interesting here. Now why is that? Probably going to be different variants of it later, I expect, because one's got the bulge in the side and these I don't think have, it would seem. So that's probably why. Then you've got your tail wheel going in there, retracted or extended, and that's it basically. Wow, okay. And then we have the colour call out, and we've got the Oakington, Cambridgeshire, September 44, Pathfinders, all your colourings are there. You've got medium sea grey, matte ocean grey and matte green as the three basic colours. And then on the back you have got the Night Bomber version based at Whitton, 109 Squadron this time. And there's a lot of black obviously, consequently, because it's a night bomber. Very clear, shows where all the stencils go. Looks great. Nice artwork. Yes, very good. Yeah, okay, so far so good. I just think that I do get annoyed about this thing we keep marking things in red, and it just looks very confusing visually. It's not necessary. You don't need to be told that you've just built something when you're then using it to build more bits on it. You've done it. It's done. It's in the past. It's like the Italian, racing drivers say, "What's behind me? It does not matter." That's why they throw the mirror away. Anyway, let's have a look at the plastic. At least it's not in a stupidly huge bag this time, which is good. I wish it was in more than one bag though. That's not clever. Not clever at all. I wish they'd stop that. Doesn't matter what the scale is, they need to be in separate bags. They really do. So, what have we got? Let's start with fuselage, I think. Nothing's off the sprue, I don't think so anyway. Let's go with the fuselage, see what we have here. Okay, bringing nice and close for this one. Now, this is, as you saw, I've just opened it, so I've never seen this before. It's all new to me. Remember, the Mosquito doesn't have a huge amount of panel lines because it's wood, it's very smooth, so there are little hatches and things, and I've got to say that for 70-second scale, that looks really nice. It leaves you in no doubt. Don't forget, we looked at the Matchbox one not long ago, and that was yeah, that was not like this. That was quite crude. Look at some of the panel lines that you do have here on the engine nacelles, which are metal of course. That's very impressive, and there's not really any flash to speak of. All looks very, very nice. On the inside, quite a few ejector pins, but don't think they're in a critical area. This one here, you can probably just see here. That's a nasty one, but that's just below the level of the floor, so they've obviously chosen that quite deliberately. So I don't think we're going to have a problem, to be honest. A lot of black marks here. This is Airfix's release agent. I've seen this before. A bit nasty. You don't want that getting mixed in with your paint, that's for sure. So might be worth giving the actual sprues a little bit of a wash, maybe in some detergent, warm water detergent. Nothing crazy, just give it a big splosh around and get some of that off it. I think it's not very helpful. Then we have got a big sprue here with the wings. Now then, that's a good big sprue. Now what we got here, a bit more detail to look at obviously. You've got some nice panel lines and ailerons and things. Looks like we can't actually pose the ailerons, which is a little bit of a shame. I know it's 70-second scale, but Yeah, I thought they might have had a posable aileron. That's a bit of a shame, to be honest. Underneath, the detail is absolutely storming. Look at that. I can get the light right for you here. Look at that. That's nice, isn't it? Plenty of detail, little hatches, access ports, rivets, panel lines. Very, very good. And then we've got the tail planes here. Again, shame we couldn't have had those elevators as posable, but I suppose that's the way it goes. I remember this kit was made to a price. It only costs £20 or thereabouts. In the UK, that is. And then we've got the, I mentioned it looks a bit like a Spitfire's wing, the tail on the Mosquito. It's a little bit of a similar elliptical shape, and you've got the, nicely, the fabric sort of stretch effect there. That's quite nicely done. It's quite well done. Yeah, that's alright, that is. That's good. Yeah, I like it. There's nothing worrying me so far. Then what we got? We've got a small sprue here with... Small sprue here, and we've got the pilot and the seats and all the cockpit parts. Instrumentation here. And your tail wheel here. That's quite nice. Got the yoke there. Yeah, it's quite impressive. No flash, nicely moulded. Like it. Very good. And then, zooming out, so we don't have any more green screen. Whoops. Okay, what have we got here? So we've got props, we've got spinners, wheels, all the exciting stuff. Let's have a look. Drop tanks, slipper tank as they call it. Got the nice round elliptical ended props. And then you've got these twin stage intakes that we spoke about. There's one here. And then the other ones are here, which are in two parts. So there might be a joined seam there. Be wary of that. Then you've got your closed doors here for your... And the mask. Here's the mask. Nothing to do with Jim Carrey. This is the mask you're going to put over when you're going to spray the rest of the kit to protect the already painted wheel, the wheel bay well. That looks really nice. There's your tank for your hydraulic fluid, your brakes. Yeah, it's nice. And again, as I say, no flash. Look at these, the wheels are nice, aren't they? Look at the tyres. Nice tread on those, that's very well done. Yeah, I like that. You can see what they've done, Airfix. They're trying to avoid ejector pins. They've got a bit Zokimura here with a lot of lugs attached to it that you need to remove cleanly. But at least you don't have an ejector pin that you have to rub out of a tricky place. So that's a very, very Zokimura-like style of doing it. It looks very good. Very nice. And then we have, oh, we've got another one exactly the same, in fact. Oh, we just look at these exhausts because I sort of skipped over that. Exhausts. And you have this like overlaid exhaust to create the 6. Each side you have one overlays over the other, 3 and 3. So that's very good. That's a replication, as I say. Then, excuse me, we have got all those complicated parts like the actuators and hydraulics for opening the bomb bay doors, and we've got some instrumentation, the bulkheads inside. Down here we've got the bay doors themselves, open or close. Close on the left, and the two sides open here and here. And then we have our bombs, bits of the racks that hold the bombs, and then here we've got the fuel tank, one of the fuel tanks, and the central fuel tank is to provide the bomb bay area is. I've got to say the moulding is very, very good. Again, they've used this gloopy black release agent, which you can see here where the ejector pin marks are. But as I say, just give it a little wash in some soapy water, just to get rid of any release agent. You'll be fine. And then last but not least, we've got, it seems to be a very quick review of this, it's because it's so small, I guess. Let's just have a look at the clear parts. And oh, goodness me, these are really nice. Look at this. Hey, these are looking really, really good. You've got the two different versions, excuse me, two different versions of the canopy here. One that's got the bulge, the navigator's observer's bulge on the top, which is really nicely done. And that's hollow on the inside as well, which is really, really good. I mean, considering how small that is, that's a lovely, lovely canopy. Then we've got these wingtips I spoke about, so you can avoid the problem of the, you know, getting fogged up lights at the end. They're actually quite, a lot smaller than I expected actually, so that's okay, I think. Then you have here, where are we? Whoops! Here we've got the two. These are the two sides of the actual canopy here. Those two go in, and then of course you've got the bomb aimer's window at the front here. When he's doing the bomb run, he looks out this little window, and that again is beautifully done. There's a tiny bit of distortion, if I'm honest, in the front. I don't know if I can get this on the camera. I think yes, I can. There it is. Can you see that? I've been a bit fussy, I know, because it's only small, but not perfect. Very clear, very bright looking, crisp looking clear plastic. And as I guess, there are in fact two versions, so they're obviously going to release two versions of the kit. Excuse me. I'm coughing and spluttering today because the weather's gone very dry suddenly without warning. So yeah, you've got two here. You've got ones that got little blisters in the side, and ones that haven't. Well, you could argue it's a little blister and one of a shallow blister, and they go either side here. Very nice bit of glass work. So, what do we think? About time we had a nice new Mosquito in the traditional scale, you know, that we all grew up with. I'm sure we all made a 76 Mosquito at one time or another. I've got to say that the plastic moulding is smack on, really. I can't really find anything that worries me, annoys me. The only annoyance I had, if I'm going to be picky, those instructions, they're starting to get a bit weird. I think you need to have a rethink, Airfix, about the way you're going about it. It's not the artwork, it's the colouring and the wording. You don't need to recon and repeat myself, but you don't need to keep repeating and recolouring what you've just done. That's just confusing. You need to drop all that and have much clearer, consistent instructions that work the same on every kit. So please drop this colour coding thing that you've got where it shows red as the previous step. That's completely not needed. And please be a little bit crisper and clearer with the instructions, like this description about using the wing, the lower wing as a jig. It should just say, do not glue until step number 45 or whatever it is. That's all you need to do. Other than that, I think for what £20 this cost, I think it's absolutely brilliant. Better than I was expecting, actually, yeah. So I'm going to give it 9. I think 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. I don't like the single bag. I would have given it 9.5, but this single bag thing, I'm quite lucky. I didn't really watch any reviews. I actually started watching a review of this before I knew what it was on YouTube, and I stopped about, I don't know, a couple of minutes into it, realising it was the one that I got on order. But the chap who did the review was very, I forget his name, but he was doing a good review, and his fuselage was all chaff because the sprues have been garanging against each other and clearly scratched the living daylights out of his plastic, all because they won't put it in single bags. I'm sorry. That's got to change. You know, you've done it already, Airfix. Hear us, yeah? You did it on the Vulcan perfectly. Just do that on all your kits. I'm sorry, but we don't want to, like this poor chap, we don't want to open a kit and find there's all scratch marks and you've got to start rubbing it down and using filler because you won't use a bag. Just use biodegradable bags, you know, compostable bags. Any green bag you want, you've got to have something to protect those parts. So, not on the go Airfix, not again on the moment. I think they produce beautiful product, nice graphics. It's got nice colour call-outs and everything. Yeah, I think for £20, I think it's fantastic and a really nice change to see a really nice Mosquito like this at 1/72 scale. Let's hope they bring out more variants of it. So 9 out of 10. Most impressed, to be honest. Very pleased with that. Good value for money. don't hesitate to go out and buy it. Excellent kit. Hope you enjoyed the review. Hope you'll give me at least 9 out of 10 with a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already to get more reviews and more other historical talks and things. Ding the notification bell if you haven't, because that's always good for you to get early notice. You'll get immediate warning when there's one perhaps going to be a premiere, it's going to be uploaded soon and it's coming, and you'll get plenty of time to get your cup of tea ready to watch it. Always please comment on what you've seen, what your thoughts are, if you've built it, like, share the video if you enjoyed it, and as I say, subscribe. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it, found it interesting. I'm not sure that Airfix have got any more major releases coming out that we know about anyway yet, so that might be it for a little while, but certainly from them I'm sure other things will be along soon. They will. And in the meantime, till next time, thanks very much for joining me. Please all look after yourselves, and till next time, bye for now.